Hey guys, today I'm going to give you guys kind of an update on Casey. I'm sure you saw our vlog on the 15th, which is actually today, asking for prayers for Casey. I'm sure you've heard about cancellations and surgeries and everything like that. So, long story short, Casey is developmentally delayed. He has dyspraxia, he has hypotonia, he has possible ADHD, he has a brain damage and a brain defect, basically. This all happened in utero. For his dyspraxia, he was actually, it's just something that kind of happens. It's basically like your brain doesn't form all the way. And that's what leads to his kind of motor planning issues and his ability to not, be within a group of kids. He gets very concerned. That's why his feet need to be placed on the ground. He always has a feeling of spinning. Bunch of little things. I can go into dyspraxia in a totally different video. He also has hypotonia. Obviously, if you hear Casey speak, you don't think that he speaks like a 5-year-old. He's about to turn 5. So between all of these things, he has apraxia of speech in his mouth and things of that nature. You know that he's had therapies and all kinds of stuff. We finally got a diagnosis last year of what he actually has, which has been great. He gets all these therapies through school, whatever. So, long story short, his developmental pediatrician believed that he had sleep apnea. When you're sick, hungry, and tired, your weaker skills diminish or, get weaker. In his instance, he can't cope. He can't walk. Casey has no strength whatsoever. He's very, very weak, very underdeveloped, very low tone. That's why when he talks, he sounds like he has marbles in his mouth. His mouth isn't formed correctly. So, his developmental pediatrician believed that he had sleep apnea, and she thought that we should get a sleep study and see if he has sleep apnea and possibly get his tonsils and adenoids removed. We went to one ENT, and he said that he did believe that he had some issues, but he couldn't see them, and he needed Casey to have an ultrasound, and he wanted me to have a pediatrician ENT look at him because he didn't feel comfortable with Casey's global delays. Fine. Called my pediatrician, got a referral for Boston. We live in southern New Hampshire on the border, and for us to go to the children's hospital here, it's about 3 hours away. For us to go to Boston, it's about an hour and a half away, and Boston's like the best hospital that you can go to. So, went to Boston. They said definitely has tall tonsils, which some kids it may not bother, but because he's so under-registered in his mouth, when he lays down at night, these tonsils get even taller and block stuff. And then they would see with his adenoid in surgery. But he needed to have a sleep study. So we went to Boston, had a sleep study, and turned out, that whole night it was dinging. I kept hearing it, knowing that he had sleep apnea. We got the call saying he didn't have sleep apnea. I was like, okay, that's weird, but they still wanted to do the surgery. So I'm like, okay, so we planned the surgery, and then we realized that won't be enough recovery time for him to start school, for us to go to Disney, and won't be enough time. So we said, oh, well, we'll do it when we get back. So I saw my developmental pediatrician. She's like, really? He doesn't have it? I'm like, that's what they said. She's like, well, I have the sleep study here, and it says that he has obstructive sleep apnea. I'm like, okay. She's like, and I really believe that you need to have it before you go on your trip. She's like, it's going to be hell for everybody. He doesn't have coping skills. He has sensory processing disorder and, all of these things. And it's just, days with Casey are tough. So we called Boston, and I said, I was told that he doesn't have sleep apnea, so I'm kind of nervous about it. But then his developmental pediatrician said she wants it, and they're like, oh no, he has it. I'm like, okay, so I was told something wrong the first time. So they get him an appointment for mid-July. We find people to watch the kids. It's all planned. We find out at 4:53 the day before surgery that it was canceled because our insurance denied it. Little backstory, our insurance was changing over in 3 days to a new insurance company. They said that they were fighting it back and forth, but it was just detrimental. Like, we had him all, and that's the thing with Casey too, you have to prep him for things. We had him all prepped, we had everyone taken care of. My husband had the day off of work. We had plenty of recovery time. He was healthy, and that's another thing with Casey is he's always sick. That's why they wanted to take his tonsils and adenoids out as well. from about September to April or May, he's sick every 6 weeks, and then he gets sick in the summer, and his immune system is zero. He has no immune system. So we were like, this is awesome. Then we get the email, and I was so mad, because I'm like, why didn't anyone call me? Why didn't I know anything about this beforehand? The hospital says, I don't think, you should try with the new insurance. I think it's going to be the same thing. And I said, well, what are they fighting? Because I had spoken with the insurance company, and they said, oh, we just need paperwork. They said, well, what Casey's having done is a normal procedure, which it is, but Casey's not a normal child. And, I've been advised by many doctors that no one besides a children's doctor is allowed to work on Casey, because he has a difficult case, and he's not like a normal child, and his airways can collapse, and he can die, and I'm not taking that risk. So I said, you know what, let's forget the current insurance company. We only have 3 more days. When the new insurance company hits, let's try that insurance company. So we booked August 15th. I called the hospital last week, didn't get a phone call, so I called the insurance company, came right back on the phone and said, oh yeah, he was approved, everything's fine. So we're like, oh my God, it's approved. Like, this is such a relief, because we thought, like, my developmental pediatrician had me calling normal hospitals and getting pre-ops for anesthesia, and all the anesthesias were, of course, denying him. So I was in this pickle of doctors were telling me no, finally find a doctor that tells me yes, hospitals and insurance is telling me no. So it was this vicious cycle. So I was like, oh my God, things are awesome. Monday evening, I start getting sick. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. If I get sick, he gets sick. Thursday morning, he wakes up and he comes to my room saying he's going to throw up. Sure enough, starts throwing up. Threw up part of the morning. Didn't have a fever, so we thought everything was okay. So when they called to do the pre-op, I told him, she said, well, let's play it by ear. Let's wait until around 3 o'clock when you get your surgery. If he's fine, we'll go ahead and do it. He was starting to walk around. He had a sandwich. He was doing okay. But we were nervous because he was dehydrated, and dehydration is one of the main issues that can cause bleed outs with tonsils and adenoid removal. But we said, okay, we'll do it. They're well aware of what was going on. They're going to hyperhydrate him, and we're actually going to probably have an overnight stay. Then around 4 or 5 o'clock hits, and he starts getting a fever, and he starts the coughing and the sneezing. And so I called I called day surgery and talked to the anesthesiologist, and she basically said the same fears I had. We don't want him to be after surgery and have a fever and us not know if it's this cold fever or if it's complications with his surgery. We don't want him to start coughing and collapse his airways during surgery and pass away on the table. There's just too many risks, especially for a child that they were a little bit worried about anyways. So we canceled the surgery. We now cannot have the surgery until we get back from Florida. So this has ruined our Disney trip. Or not ruined it, but it's just put some kinks into it and some challenges. We have rented a double stroller because he's not going to be able to walk. Jeff and I have assigned ourselves different days that we are going to be on him. One person is going to have him and Aubrey, and the other person's going to have Trevor and Ellie, because that just works best. We're going to have to take advantage of the DAS card at Disney, unfortunately. I didn't want to, and I know there's a lot of negative attitude or feeling towards it, but I'm only going to use it when I need it. If my son is having a truly tough time, we're going to give him the card and have to come back. We're not going to be able to wait in line. And I truly believe that people would rather me use that card than have him breaking down for 15, 20, 30 minutes in a line. It's just how I feel. So things are hard. I'm really upset. I feel like everything with Casey from day one has been a fight. And it's really hard because Casey's like the sweetest child, and anyone that meets Casey falls in love with Casey. But it's hard. It's really hard that he's constantly sick and he can't sleep and he has horrible coping issues and all of these little things that just make his life really hard. And people with dyspraxia, they're very suicidal, they're very depressed, they're very alone. And I'm trying to do everything in my power to make him better before he starts school so that he has somewhat of a chance. And it's been hard, it's been really hard, but I know this is for the best, and I would rather have not been worried sick about what was going on. Is he okay? Is he not okay? Is he going to bleed out? I think it would have just made these next 2 weeks pure hell if we had definitely done the surgery. So that's our update on the surgery. I know it's kind of not really dramatic, but it is. But thank you for everyone for, you know, thinking of us and praying for us and everything like that. Casey is in a lot of prayer circles through my family and my friends, and I truly appreciate everyone that puts my family in your thoughts. It means a lot. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.